Regards and good wishes, people of the world. It is altogether too easy for manipulative marketing and clever con artistry to turn a culture inside out. But fear not, boys and girls. The old guy is here to tell a story. Let's get into it, shall we?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Lift off and the clock has started.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good day to you all. I hope this message finds you truly well and joyful and that you are celebrating your independence today. Thank you for joining me here on OGI. I am your host, Scott Schroeder, never AI generated, and I am grateful from the bottom of my heart for a little bit of your valuable time. And don't forget, your active support helps the show survive and advance. So wherever you are consuming this, please like, subscribe, rate, and do all the things the algorithm overlords demand. Funny thing about history, we tend to view it as a thing that happened rather than what it is, a thing that is happening. You are not detached from history. You are a part of it. Make this Independence Day your historical marker for when you rededicated yourself to something greater than the pursuit of triviality. Independence Day doesn't belong to the United States of America because liberty isn't a commodity. The significance of Independence Day belongs to everyone. Those with magnanimous hearts and virtuous philosophy, no matter where in the world their feet may stand, place the ultimate value upon the self-evident truth that all of us, by our birth, are free. And though there are those malevolent actors who may visit acts of oppression upon our brothers and sisters, no one can take that from us. And with that, I give you the following. Quote, "But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under the absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security." Unquote. The words of 33-year-old Thomas Jefferson, the shy and circumspect Virginia delegate to the Second Continental Congress, penned these words shortly after the first shots of revolution were fired at Lexington. Jefferson was known as an awkward and even ungifted orator, but his written words would alter the course of human history. The long train of abuses which spurred the growing move for independence from the British Crown included a series of parliamentary acts designed to crush the economic and personal freedom growing in the colonies. Taxation, confiscation, monopolizing trade, forced quartering of British soldiers in private homes, all generated by a tyrannical monarchy an ocean away, leaving the people without hope of representation or even recognition of pleas for redress of grievances. Inspired by the Enlightenment movement in Europe and the philosophy of writers like Locke and Montesquieu, and back 1,500-odd years to Marcus Aurelius, colonial leaders set forth to dissolve the existing political bands tethering them to the British Crown. The result was the greatest collection of avowed philosophy the world has ever known. The Declaration of Independence, adopted on July 4th, dispatched to assemblies, conventions, and Continental troop commanders on July 5th, signed and filed in Philadelphia on August 2nd, 1776, and the United States Constitution, ratified on June 21st, 1788, stated and delineated the self-evident truth indelibly carried in the heart of mankind. By birth, you are free, and no government may alter that. how incredibly dangerous that truth is to you, because its foundational undeniability represents the greatest existential threat to those who aspire to control you. Marxist, Fabian, socialist, communist, oligarchs, mercantilists, corporatists, religious orthodoxy, the global energy and industrial complex, none of these entities can survive and dominate if you understand, embrace, embody, and defend that baseline truth. And the threat of your understanding of human liberty represents existential peril for centralized power. Do me a favor and say these two words aloud right now. I am. That simple statement is the only declaration you need to make to take your place as equal among all mankind. Everything else is nonsense misdirection designed to keep you confused, placated, and fearful. If you're busy shouting, I am not, well, then you have already voluntarily surrendered. You are engaged in a whirling vortex of cognitive dissonance on a level rarely seen over the course of humanity. You are lying to yourself and denying universal truth because you are fearful of irrelevant people who themselves live in fear and ignorance. You want to know what the world looks like when you erode the cognitive ability of a generation by jamming smartphones in their cribs and strollers and inculcate them with persistent and calculated counterfactual misinformation? Well, it looks like a kindergarten lunchroom on soup day after the lunch ladies intentionally pass out forks. All the children's faces turn purple with rage and anger because they don't possess the simple ability to reason through rudimentary problem solving. Don't be angry with them, though. We, the older generations, allowed this to happen by ignoring our duty to educate because it was so much easier to hand the kids a glowing god of mental sawdust. It's not too late to turn things around. It's close, but not too late. Years ago on this day, I wrote something about remembering the significance of July 4th, why we recognize it, and how it saddens me that this has been so carefully scrubbed from the collective consciousness as a critically generative pivot point in human history and replaced as a simple date on the calendar that acts as a siren call, a signifier to begin a simultaneous rampage of small explosions, water activities, and consumerism. In what should have been my first clue, the camel's nose in the tent, as it were, into the skulking disassembly and reconstruction of history, a friend of mine scoffed at my view of the Declaration of Independence as one of mankind's most important documents. This saddened me, yet began to awaken me to the flawed reasoning of a broad swath of people that the founding of what would become the United States of America was based on a series of carefully isolated snapshots analyzed through the prism of time by modern standards and sensibilities. This is simply a far too convenient and intellectually myopic method to place thousands of years of unfolding human history into a very limited narrative. Regarding my friend, there isn't a fiber of me that suspects ill intentions on their part. In fact, this is one of the most genuinely loving and caring people I know. The problem is our willingness to allow this moment's emotion, whatever the exponentially escalating drama du jour, to overshadow an epic tale of struggle. The tale of independence doesn't belong to one group or one nation state. Remember, by your birth, you are free. Liberty isn't a commodity able to be possessed and traded. The tale of independence began with the dawn of mankind, not with Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Adams et al. This nation didn't pop into existence from the ether in 1776. Colonization began nearly 200 years before on this continent. It's not the 5,000-year history of royal domination, slavery, oppression, and constant conflict from Asia to Mesopotamia to Babylon to Africa to Europe. It's not the Egyptians, Etruscans, Greeks, Romans, Macedonians, Gauls, Visigoths, or Huns. It isn't empire, expansion, collapse, 1,000 years of darkness, awakening, renaissance, and enlightenment. It is about the awakening that began after all of that. It is about the growth of spirit that led a group of people to stand up against a status quo of oppression into which they were born and toss it away at great personal cost and peril. It is about the courage to reject the ideals and practices they inherited, declare them immoral, and set a new course for humanity based on one very simple principle. By your birth, you are free. Liberty is also very much about the people who have fought from that day, 248 years ago, to today and beyond the visible horizon. Not for a flag or lines on a map or dirt or even for those parchments, but for the concept, the unalienable universal truth that by your birth you are free. Freedom isn't owned, people. Freedom is. And it is far too nouveau convenient and even childish to believe that a small group of people fighting thousands of years of history and global oppression could flip a switch and change the world overnight. That is a tragic and fundamental misunderstanding of the philosophy of liberty by grace of birth and the people who were born into a society framed by privileged control. Their lifetime did not see the end of bondage as an accepted norm, but they crafted the only documents ever put into writing stating the guarantee of fundamental liberty and make that philosophy the basis of law. They built the framework to dismantle a system guided by the whims of royal fiat and create a system based on human liberty embossed into law, guided by that simple principle. The unfolding of this story has been ugly, but that is because of the actions of man, not because of the documents or the spirit that wrote them. The documents state the guarantee of the birthright of liberty. They do not guarantee the infallibility of man. Much as the light of God is carried in the souls of flawed and failing man, the pure, uncontaminated water of liberty is forever to be carried in a rusty and decayed bucket by the hands of people who may not fully understand its power. America is an idea, not borders, resources, traditions, or even people. Those all change with time. The idea of liberty should not. That is enough to ponder for now. This episode of the podcast is dedicated to all the people of the world who yearn for, fight for, and place the blessing of liberty on the highest pedestal. Without liberty, there is nothing else. OGI can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Riverside.fm, and everywhere else in the podcast universe. Episodes and content will also be posted on IG and Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Your active support is critical, y'all. As you go forth today, remember that all life, even the chase for liberty, is trial and error. Try to do better than yesterday. Live, laugh, and love. Be mindful, fit, and authentic. If that's all you have today, will be a good day. Peace out, homies, and see y'all next time.